Hi there, I'm your host Corinne, and this is Okay, But Are You Good? Where we check in on ourselves on a weekly basis to see how we're doing. Are we living our best lives, or are we just trying to get by? Another week, another good vibe. Let's keep it going, right? So last week, we decided to switch it up. Instead of focusing on what is going wrong, we moved on to what if it all works out? And after I realized, wow, like I've grown so much and I can't believe I am where I'm at today. And I'm like, I did this. I got here because I stuck to my goal of being better and living my best life. It's a day by day thing, of course, but I got here. I am here. So it's interesting when you start looking back on like the past few years, because with growth, you usually think of big milestones. For me, it's getting married, buying a house, getting that dream job, spending more time with family, running a marathon. Yes, we are still talking about it. And starting a business, checking something off the bucket list, traveling to a new place. And these are all incredible, and it's exactly what I've wanted and worked towards for a long time, and I got here. But for me, the best measure of growth is really internally. Like, what have you done internally to get to where you're at mentally? I hope that makes sense. But you could have done all this stuff and you're still miserable and unhappy because you're only working on one thing, the outside part, the things that you could brag about, the things that are monumental and could physically be seen. Because I was that person. I was that person that was doing so much positive things and reaching whatever goal, and I was still so unhappy. And I was stuck in a run. I couldn't figure out how to do it. And I lived my life like this for like 10 years. And it's harder to measure growth on the inside. But I just feel it, Like I feel at peace way more than I normally would have. And the biggest moments in life aren't always the ones that are posted on social media. Of course, we all post big moments, posted my marathon, but the biggest changes are actually the little things that you start to realize. I'm recovering from my bad days faster. I'm not in bed for days in and out. Gosh, if little Corinne could see me now, she'd be like, wow, so exciting. But that's my little Corinne voice. Anyways, I'm not letting one awkward conversation set me down in a spiral for days, maybe even a week, not enjoying my time off because I'm so focused on one itty bitty conversation. Will this happen again? I'm sure, but I realized I'm nipping it in the bud earlier. And, not sitting on these conversations, I'm also not letting my anxiety, or I'm getting better at recognizing my anxiety and when it's about to take off, and I just like stop it. I'm like, you're good, chill out. This interaction wasn't as bad as you thought it was. You're not rude. You're not hurting anyone. So move on. You need to let it go. And I never thought I'd say that, but there was like a couple interactions this past week that I was like, oh, like, why did I say that? Blah, blah, blah. And then I'm just like, whatever, dude. Like, I don't really care. And that's progress for me. That's a good sign. Another way, like, I've been seeing growth for myself is like, I'm spending more intentional time with family. I'm doing things that I didn't have the opportunity to do when I was living in San Francisco, like going to workout class with a family member, or just like grabbing lunch with an aunt that I normally wouldn't see that often. Like, I'm spending more quality time, and it's so nice instead of just obligated family events. And it's fun. It's nice. And it's just being in the moment and appreciating this time that like is so valuable. So, I've just kind of spun my thought process around it so it wouldn't eat at me so much. And it's good. And I'm making small progressive steps of protecting my peace instead of just living in miserable chaos all the time and just being more in the moment. I've been trying to do that so much more. And I think I'm finally getting like a little bit better of a gist of like just like chilling out and not so focused on the next week and the next month of everything I have to do, because there's always going to be stuff to do, right? So it's taken time, but I've been working on just being in the moment, being more present. And like, wow, like for me, that is so much growth. And a year ago, I wouldn't have thought it. 5 years ago, no way. So it's amazing that I kind of had this dark, looming, anxious cloud hanging over my head for about 4 months. And I told myself at the start when I was really down, it's going to get better. It's going to get better with time. You just need to adjust. You need to work on this and like just head first, dive into life, and like you're going to be good. And like here I am on the other side, and it's only going to keep going up. And as I mentioned, like this past week, I had 2 interactions where normally I would have been spiraling, and I just caught myself and I kind of just didn't care. Like I really didn't care how these people saw me. I'm like, look, parking stresses me out. In LA, it's very stressful. And if I don't know where I'm going and I don't know what the parking situation is, I'm kind of done for. But I went head first into my weekend adventures. And, you know, I was chilling kind of. And then someone else was anxious about getting a parking ticket. So then I got anxious. I was like, we gotta go. And I'm like, dude, what's the worst thing that could happen right now? You just get a parking ticket. Yeah, not ideal. I don't want to pay for one. I don't know if there's more that comes with that, but that's the worst thing that could have happened. But I was like, that is pretty bad. I don't want to, I don't want to deal with that. So we're going. We drove all the way up to the Hollywood sign just for me to be like, okay, take a picture, let's leave. But like, what else do you really need to do there, right? And it just taught me like, girl, you really need to chill out more. But the streets are very tight and I have a big car. So I already don't know where I'm going. I feel like if I went in a year or a couple years, I'd like kind of know what the route is and I'd be able to handle the situation better. But like, and I felt bad rushing to get out of there and like ruining this iconic moment. But I'm like, they're going to be okay. They got their photo. That's what they wanted. And then we went on to our next adventure. But in the past, I would have been like spiraling about that for so long, felt so guilty and been like, you're such a bad person. You ruined this moment. But I chose to be like, look, you did something you really didn't want to do. And like, you still made the other person happy. They still got what they needed. And you learn from this. You learn to maybe you got to do a little bit more research. I did look up like an address of where to get a photo and I was very close to it. But now I know what the situation is. It's going to be busy. There's going to be police around giving out parking tickets. So I just got to prepare a little bit better. Oh my gosh. That story sounds so silly, but like for me, like that was a big deal. I had to keep driving around. I can't parallel park. I'm like that. I'm worse than that Joe Jonas video of him trying to parallel park. I just can't do it. But I'm like, I got to keep driving and going to new places and like trying to park really bad. Because it gets easier. Like, I just have to get used to driving in a city again. Like, it's just a fear I gotta get over. And there was another interaction where I was with a friend of a friend who just got engaged and it's so exciting. And they had a unique ring and I couldn't find the words to like ask like what kind of, like, why is it this color? I was like, I was so intrigued. It was so beautiful, but I didn't know if it was like a birthstone or like what. I don't know anything of it when it comes to that stuff. I just see pretty and I'm like, oh my God, like this is so exciting. You know, I'm more focused on like the next moment than like the details of someone's ring. Like everyone has their own style. But so I was like, oh, did this come off rude? But like it obviously wasn't intended that way. And I was like, okay, don't spiral. You're fine. You just like were really awkward more than anything. And like these people still don't really know you. So you're good. Like just do better next time and like shut up maybe. Like, I don't know. And that situation, definitely, I didn't love it, but I was like, okay, I like just moved on, ignored it. I thought about it after. And aside from talking about it right now, I've forgotten about this interaction. And I'm sure they have too, or maybe they're writing about how much I suck in their diary. If you are, I apologize. I loved your ring. That has to be obvious. But these little interactions are just like so me, so like misunderstood and like so stressed out for no reason. Like, the dog, this is fine. Everything's on fire. Or like SpongeBob running around in that brain with all the copy, the printer paper. I forgot what that episode was, but that is me. But it's like, calm down. Like those two stories, I'm like, it's like nothing compared to like this past year. So baby steps, big baby steps, toddler steps. I don't know. But I think like genuinely like, oh my gosh, what would me 5 years ago think? Like, what will me 5 years ago from today think? I'm excited to meet that person. I'm excited to see where life's at. But back to the past. I think old me, if it saw me today, oh my gosh, I hope this timeline is going to make sense. But anyways, I feel like I'd be like so proud and so surprised of like how much I've accomplished mentally, physically, like personally in all aspects of life, because the dark days are dark for me as they are everyone, but like I just would get so stuck in them. So the fact that I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and recognizing I don't have everything figured out, but I am content with that. I'm excited that I've made real progress well, I guess depending on the situation, that like I'm not trying to control everything. I'm really just focused on myself, and that I keep showing up for myself every day, even when I don't want to, on those hard days, even on the good days, man. I don't know. In my brain, that makes sense, but maybe that doesn't make sense to everyone else. But like, on the days I don't have to use my brain are my favorite. When I'm just home reading my book, watching mindless TV, like doing little things, I am my happiest. And when I'm traveling, but I can just feel I'm not as stressed out as I have been. And last year was a really stressful year. So honestly, it could only go up, and I'm here on the other side. And I've just realized like my priorities have changed. I was so honed in on like getting better mentally, nailing my routine down, taking care of my physical health. And I've really done that. Like it's surreal. Like I did this, and I'm going to keep working on this, because I can be in such a good mood and then something can snap me out of it right away. And I'm trying to like balance the two. Every day, it's about making progress a little bit every single day. And if you have your setbacks, you have your setbacks, but you get right up the next day and do what you can. Everything takes time. And something that I've been reminding myself of, and maybe you need to remind yourself too, that since everything takes time, you got to remember like on the days that your anxiety reappears, it's going to disappear again. Don't let it get the best of you, because you're going to get on the other side. And I'm going to be honest, like I am like still in the back of my head, I'm like, is this too good to be true? And I'm like, just kind of choosing to ignore that voice, because that's what set me back in the past. I think I've just accepted my reality of like, I'm not perfect. I'm still going to have anxious thoughts. I'm still going to be negative. I'm still going to have bad days, but they're getting smaller and they're fewer far between. What's the saying? They're like not as frequent. I'm still me, man. I am still Corinne that gets moody, but as long as I'm fed, I am good 95% of the time. Real recognize real, man. Just know what you need. Accept yourself. Be proud of yourself. You're going to have doubts, but I think what's really made me grow is like I'm realizing that these bad or hard days don't last forever. They really don't. If they keep lasting, and it's stuff out of your control, that's different. But if it's things in your control and they're just going on way longer than they need to be, and you know they are, that's on you, babe. That's on you, not. And you gotta make a shift. You gotta really how you want this life to be. And I think that's what's helped me is I'm not letting these moments take over my brain and define who I am. And I'm able to come back quicker and recover from these like setbacks that I would have, and trying out new things, writing out these thoughts that keep me up. Reading just like really helps me. It's just really understanding what you need, because what works for me might not work for you, or you can just adapt it to your needs better. Because growth is really not becoming a completely different person. It's becoming this healthier, happier version of yourself that you've always been. You've always been good, and you will continue to always be good, even on your back, even on those setbacks. But it's in there. If you don't think it is, it's in there, and you're going to be good and living your best life and thinking to yourself, like, I did that. Because that's how I feel right now. I did this, babe. It's been a year, 5 years, whatever. Time has passed, and I have made it to the other side, and I'm going to keep riding this fun roller coaster. And I just feel like I can breathe for the first time in a long time. And it's really encouraging. And I challenge you this week to take 5 minutes. It could be while you're doing another activity that's, I don't know, walking, reading, I don't know, sitting down, doing something. Habit stacking. Think about your life from a year ago, 5 years ago, a big milestone in your life, and ask yourself, what do I handle better now? What is no longer bothering me and keeping me up at night? What have I learned, and who have I become? But think about it. Maybe there's a few other questions you can throw on there, like what's worked and what hasn't, and that's recognizing your own needs. And I think you'll be shocked of how much you've grown since a year, 5 years have passed. I think we just are so constantly on the go. We don't have time to sit with our thoughts and process life. So take this time, think about it, because you've probably grown more than you've realized, honestly. Because life is fast paced, and we try and keep up with it, right? And I think we're so focused on this next version of ourselves that we forget to be in the moment and celebrate this current version of yourself that you have already worked so hard and become today. So take that moment, think about it, and you'll realize you need to celebrate how far you've come today, because growth isn't always loud. It's not even exciting all the time. It's kind of boring, but it's those boring, quiet moments that you are sitting in peace, and you have a little bit more wisdom and more grace, and you are smiling from ear to ear. And you got to realize that's worth celebrating. Baby steps are good step, or any step in the right direction that your goal is something to be celebrated. So take that time for yourself this week. Think about how much you've grown in the last month, year, 5 years, 15. I don't know. Get crazy with it. And I think you'll really shock yourself of how much you've accomplished personally, mentally, physically, anything that you've been working on. Make sure you celebrate yourself this week and check in with yourself and ask, okay, but are you good? Thank you so much for listening in. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye.